Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. People talk about marriage like it's a house, something you build, decorate, and protect from storms. But nobody tells you what to do when the rot starts from within. My name's Lucas Reed, 35. I'm the kind of guy who remembers anniversaries, who cooks breakfast on Sundays, and who still leaves sticky notes that say, "You're beautiful," on the bathroom mirror. I believe love was something you worked for, not something you replaced when it got inconvenient. For 8 years, my wife Mia was my entire world. She used to call me her safe place, the man who never looked away when things got hard. We met in a college photography club. I fell for her laughter before I ever saw her through the lens. But lately, that laughter wasn't mine anymore. It started with her phone always face down, the late-night client calls that never had names, the perfume on her coat that didn't belong to her brand. And then there were the excuses, always logical, always just convincing enough to make me question my instincts. Still, I kept telling myself I was imagining things, that I was just being overly cautious, that maybe she still loved me the way I loved her. That illusion lasted until the night I found her lipstick on the wrong glass. We were supposed to have dinner, something simple at home. I came back from the store early, holding her favorite flowers. But when I opened the door, the house was silent, except for the low hum of her phone vibrating on the counter. A text flashed across the screen. "I'll see you soon, beautiful." Same table. I froze. The name on the screen, Ryan Kessler, her work friend. I stared at it, feeling my stomach twist into something sharp and ugly. My first thought wasn't anger. It was disbelief. The kind of disbelief that makes you reread a message 5 times, hoping you've misunderstood it. When she walked through the door an hour later, smiling like nothing was wrong, I played my part. I smiled too. I asked how work was. She talked about deadlines, clients, and meetings that apparently didn't exist. I looked at her then, really looked. The way she avoided eye contact, the way her voice wavered just slightly. It wasn't guilt that gave her away. It was the absence of warmth. Later that night, when she fell asleep beside me, I lay there staring at the ceiling, wondering how love could turn into this, a performance. By morning, I had my answer. If she could lie to me so easily, I could play her game better. I started noticing patterns. The work dinners on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The same perfume. The same restaurant charges on our shared credit card. Every piece fit together like a puzzle I never wanted to finish. Then one Friday night, she slipped into a sleek black dress, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "Don't wait up, honey. Late dinner with the team." Her tone was casual, but her eyes didn't meet mine. As soon as the door closed, I followed. Her taillights cut through the Seattle mist, heading downtown. I kept my distance until she parked outside the Sapphire Room, one of those upscale places with gold lettering and valet parking. I watched from across the street as she stepped out, laughing into her phone. Inside, through the glass, I saw her meet him. Ryan, tall, smug, the kind of man who thought charm could excuse deceit. They ordered wine. They touched hands. They smiled like they owned the world. That's when my phone buzzed. It was a message from her. "Hey babe, might be late. Don't wait up. I love you." I stared at the screen, not with pain anymore, but with a strange calm. I typed back, "Take your time." My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. I just sat there, watching them, the woman I married and the man she traded her vows for. And somewhere between the bitterness and disbelief, something in me hardened. That night, I decided, if she wanted to live a double life, I'd make sure both sides collided. She just didn't know yet that the game had already begun. The next morning felt strange, almost peaceful. I brewed my coffee, read the news, even whistled while feeding our dog, as if nothing inside me had cracked. But that calm wasn't peace, it was strategy. Mia floated through the kitchen in her robe, humming to herself. She poured coffee, barely glancing at me. I noticed the faint shimmer of a new necklace. Not one I bought. "Pretty," I said lightly. "When did you get that?" She froze for half a second, then smiled. "Oh, this. The company gave it to everyone on the campaign team." I nodded, pretending to believe her. "You're moving up fast, huh?" She laughed. "Someone has to bring home the big checks." It was the kind of joke that used to make me grin. This time, it just confirmed what I already knew. While she was in the shower, I did something I never thought I'd do in my life. I opened her laptop, not to snoop, but to confirm what was already bleeding in my gut. Emails, hundreds of them, hidden under a folder named vendor reports, each one laced with affection, plans, and hotel bookings under different aliases. The latest message stopped my breath cold. Same place tomorrow, my love. I booked our table early this time. Can't wait to see you again. Tomorrow, Saturday, 8 p.m. The same restaurant, the Sapphire Room. That was all I needed. That afternoon, I stopped by my friend Adam's place. He was a private investigator, the kind who didn't ask unnecessary questions. I told him I needed photos. No scandal, no confrontation, just proof. Adam sighed, rubbing his temples. You sure you want this, Lucas? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. I've already seen enough, I said quietly. Now I want her to see herself. By the time Saturday rolled around, everything was in motion. I made dinner plans too, at the same restaurant, same time, but not with Ryan. With someone she'd never expect, her boss, Elise. Elise had always respected me. She'd once told me over a company picnic that Mia was brilliant, but distracted. When I called and asked if she wanted to discuss a potential collaboration for her next ad campaign, she agreed immediately. That evening, I arrived early. The air was crisp, the street alive with couples holding hands and taxis gliding by. Inside the Sapphire Room, golden lights shimmered against polished glasses. I picked the corner booth, 3 tables behind the one Mia had chosen last time. From there, I could see everything without being seen. Elise joined me shortly after. We talked casually, but I wasn't listening much. I was waiting. Then I saw her. Mia walked in, radiant in a red dress I hadn't seen before. Ryan followed, his hand settling a little too comfortably on her back. She laughed softly, tilting her head the same way she used to when I'd whisper that I loved her. Elise noticed my silence. You okay? She asked. I smiled faintly. Better than ever. I pulled out my phone and sent a message. Hey, where are you? Across the room, Mia glanced at her phone, rolled her eyes, and typed back quickly. Out with a friend. Don't start this again. I let a beat pass, then replied. You don't have to tell me where you are. I already know. She frowned at the screen, confusion creasing her face. Then I sent another message. Look behind you. For a moment, she didn't move. Then, slowly she turned. Our eyes met. The color drained from her face like ink fading in water. Her hand slipped from Ryan's. Her mouth opened, but no words came. I smiled. Not cruelly, not triumphantly, just calmly, like a man finally done playing the fool. Elise followed my gaze, her eyebrows lifting as realization dawned. Mia stammered something to Ryan, fumbling for her purse, panic crawling up her throat. I stood, buttoning my jacket. Every step I took toward her table felt like closing a chapter. When I stopped beside them, the entire restaurant seemed to fall silent. Mia, I said evenly. Small world, huh? She blinked rapidly, her voice shaking. Lucas, I can explain. No need, I said, cutting her off. You already did. Just not to me. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. Lucas, man, this isn't what it looks like. Oh, it looks exactly like it should. I leaned in slightly, keeping my tone low. Next time you take another man's wife to dinner, make sure her husband isn't sitting 3 tables behind. Gasps rippled from nearby diners. Mia looked around helplessly, tears forming. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. I just reached into my pocket, pulled out an envelope, and placed it on the table between them. Inside were photos, Adam's work, every meeting, every kiss, every lie. Consider this your severance package, I said softly. Don't bother coming home. The locks are changed. Then I turned and walked out. Outside, the air felt lighter, cleaner. The kind of cold that wakes you up after a long nightmare. Elise followed me out a moment later, shaking her head. You handled that better than most people would have. I looked back at the glowing restaurant windows, where shadows still moved in panic. Maybe, I said, but this isn't over yet. Because for me, that night wasn't revenge. It was only the beginning of making her understand the cost of betrayal. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I checked into a small hotel near the bay, a quiet place that smelled faintly of salt and cedar. I sat by the window with the city lights flickering below, my phone buzzing nonstop on the nightstand. Calls from Mia, texts, voicemails, all the same tone, desperate. Lucas, please, it's not what it looked like. We just talked, I swear. You don't understand. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. Fix this. The words hit harder than the betrayal itself, as if all I had to do was forgive, reset, and forget the months of deceit like deleting a bad file. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. My silence was the only answer she deserved. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Ellen Burke, a sharp, composed woman who'd helped me with business contracts before. When she picked up, her tone softened after I told her everything. You want a divorce, I assume? She asked. Eventually, I said, but not before she learns what she threw away. Ellen hesitated. That sounds like revenge. I smiled faintly. No, it's perspective. That day, I went back home to gather my things. Her car was already in the driveway, but the house was dark except for a lamp in the living room. When I stepped inside, the smell of her perfume still lingered in the air, sweet and suffocating. Mia was sitting on the couch, eyes swollen, clutching a photo album between her trembling hands. Lucas, she whispered, standing up. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I stayed by the doorway. Then why did it? Tears slid down her cheeks. It was never about him. I felt invisible, like I was losing myself. I let out a dry laugh. So your solution was to find yourself in someone else's bed. She winced. It wasn't like that. It started as work talk. He understood me. Stop. My voice was low, steady. Don't rewrite it now. You had a husband who listened, supported, and loved you. You wanted something new. You got it. She looked up, broken. Please don't do this. We can rebuild. No, Mia, I said. You already demolished it. I'm just here to collect what's left. I walked upstairs, packed a single duffel bag, and left without another word. But my revenge wasn't going to end with silence. It was going to end with exposure. Over the next few days, I worked quietly. While she messaged me about talking things through, I was setting up the final part of my plan. I met with her company's HR department to provide documentation of her misconduct, using company time and funds to entertain a client who turned out to be her affair partner. I didn't have to embellish anything. The photos and timestamps spoke louder than any lie. By Wednesday, she was suspended. That evening, she showed up at my hotel, eyes red, voice trembling. They fired me, Lucas. Ryan told them everything was my idea. I leaned against the doorframe, calm. So, the man who understood you threw you under a bus. She nodded, covering her face with her hands. I've lost everything. I looked at her for a long moment. Part of me felt pity, just a small flicker, but it faded quickly. No, Mia, I said softly. You didn't lose it. You gave it away. She stepped closer. You loved me once. Doesn't that mean anything? It did, I said, until you taught me how little that love meant to you. I closed the door. That night, I went for a long drive along the waterfront. The reflection of city lights shimmered on the waves, calm and endless. My chest felt lighter. For the first time in months, I could breathe without bitterness choking me. But one last piece remained. A week later, the restaurant manager from the Sapphire Room called me. Someone Adam knew. He said Ryan had been bragging around town about how he fooled a husband for months. That's when I decided to finish what I started. I reached out to Ryan's wife. Yes, wife. Turns out he wasn't as single as he pretended. Her name was Angela, and she deserved to know the truth. We met at a cafe, and when I slid the envelope of photos across the table, she didn't say a word. Her lips tightened. Her fingers shook slightly, but her eyes were cold. Thank you, she said finally. You did the right thing. By the next morning, Ryan's life unraveled faster than Mia's had. His marriage ended, his reputation tanked, and the company he worked for began an internal audit. I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. I just watched justice take its course. A month later, Mia texted again. You win. I hope you're happy. I stared at the message for a long time, then typed back. No, Mia, I'm not happy, but I'm finally free. And I meant it. Because revenge isn't about destroying someone else. It's about rebuilding yourself after they try to break you. That night, I walked to the pier, the wind brushing against my face, the ocean endless and alive beneath the moonlight. I realized I wasn't angry anymore. For the first time, I felt peace, cold, quiet, and honest. 3 months passed. Seattle's winter faded into spring, and with it, the ache that had clung to me like a shadow began to ease. I moved into a small apartment overlooking the harbor, Nothing fancy, but peaceful. The kind of place where silence didn't feel empty anymore. I'd started painting again, something I'd given up years ago when work and marriage consumed me. There was something healing about watching color return to a blank canvas, like giving form to emotions I couldn't say out loud. Every brushstroke felt like reclaiming a part of myself I'd lost while trying to keep someone else happy. Mia tried reaching out again. Emails, calls, even a handwritten letter slipped under my office door. I ignored most of them. But one afternoon, I found her waiting outside my building. She looked nothing like the woman I'd married. Her glow was gone, replaced by something fragile. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Lucas, please, just hear me out." I hesitated, then nodded toward a nearby bench. 5 minutes. We sat in silence for a while. The breeze off the water carried the faint sound of gulls and passing boats. Finally, she said, "I lost everything after you left. My job, my friends, even my parents stopped talking to me. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know I understand what I did." I studied her face, not with anger, not even pity, just quiet detachment. Understanding doesn't erase what happened. She nodded slowly, eyes glistening. "I know, but I loved you, Lucas. I still do." That sentence used to make my heart stop. Now it felt like an echo from a life that wasn't mine anymore. I exhaled. "You love the man who would have done anything for you. You destroyed him. What you're looking at now is what's left, and I'm okay with that." She reached out, but I stood before she could touch me. "Take care of yourself, Mia. Whatever you're trying to rebuild, start with honesty. It's the only foundation that lasts." I walked away without looking back. For once, I didn't need to. That night, I sat on my balcony, watching the sun dip into the bay. The city lights blinked on, one by one, like quiet promises of new beginnings. I thought about everything, the betrayal, the revenge, the quiet aftermath, and realized something important. Revenge had given me closure, but forgiveness, even silent forgiveness, was what gave me freedom. Not for her, for me. In time, I learned that life doesn't stop after betrayal. It just changes direction. You find new rhythms, new laughter, new reasons to wake up in the morning. A few months later, I opened a small design studio downtown. It was nothing big, but it was mine. And when clients walked in and saw my work, art filled with color, depth, and truth, they often said it felt real. That's because it was. Every piece carried a piece of the storm I'd survived. Sometimes, late at night, I'd glance at my phone, half expecting another apology that would never fix anything. But instead, I'd smile, set it down, and go back to painting. Because that's the thing about betrayal. It teaches you to stop waiting for people to change and start changing the way you live. Mia became a lesson. A painful one, yes, but a necessary one. And me? I became someone stronger, quieter, and wiser. Someone who learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't watching them fall. It's watching yourself rise. As the last streak of orange disappeared beyond the horizon, I whispered to myself, almost like a vow, never again will I beg someone to see my worth. They'll notice when I stop trying to prove it. And for the first time in years, I smile without pretending.